life, what you know about me. Describe the truth. Real life.
Welcome to real life, where the truth get told. Pastor Nick Good, yeah, we break them mold. Church talk, sports talk, fatherhood too. Real conversations, yeah, we bring it all to you. Real life, real life. Every struggle got a purpose, everything got a light. Real life, real life. If you're looking for the truth, then you're in the right place tonight. From the streets to the sanctuary, woo! From the locker room to the family table, woo! This is the late with Baskin, they good life. Subscribe and join the conversation. Real life. Every struggle's got a purpose, everything got a light. Real life. If you're looking for the truth, then you're in the right place tonight. From the streets to the sanctuary, woo! From the locker room to the family table, woo! This is the system and that's Sebastian Nick and unlike. Subscribe and join the conversation.
Hey y'all. So I'm getting my steps in. Gotta take care of my temple. But yeah, so my son, he just texted me. And the first time I heard from him in like maybe 4 or 5 days, or 3 or 4 days. So he texts me and same spiel as always. You know, my mom's been there for me and you ain't done nothing for me, and you know, the list goes on. And I had to remind myself, you know, that even when people want to slander your name and people say you ain't done nothing for them, and, you know, I thought about something, because I did this same exact thing to my mom and my dad, and you know, Elijah's, you know, situation is not like mine, you know, but he does have a valid point, you know, because, you know, when he was born, I didn't love his mother enough to marry her, and I was still young and dumb myself, you know. He was born, I was in them streets, and ultimately led me to prison and to spend 5.5 years away from him. You know, so I was praying for him when he texted me, and the Lord showed me, he says, you know, told me that, you know, no sin would go unpunished, you know. Nothing that you do will go unpunished. So you can believe in God and everything, repent, give your life to the Lord, but, you know, what most Christians, you know, one of the lies is that even though you encountered something or experienced something, you know, we tell ourselves God forgave us and everybody else should too. And that's not true, you know. And as I get older and as I continue to go through life as a dad, and, you know, I made tremendous steps and done some great things with my group of kids I married, well, in my marriage, you know. To them, I'm a great father, you know. But to Elijah, I wasn't. I was a horrible father. And, yeah, I try to make things right over the years. And, you know, but sometimes, man, some stuff that you do, man, even though you want to find it, you know, that's the thing about us men, you know, we look for solutions. So whenever a situation happens, you know, we're not crying on what happened. We always looking for a solution, you know. And from day one, since I got out of prison, I have not found a solution to reconcile with my son. I haven't found a solution. Man. And, you know, yeah, his mom, she plays the alienation game, and you know, but you know, I can, you know, you could blame her and say she did this and she did that, but at the end of the day, man, I'm a man, you know what I mean? And that's my child, and it was times when I didn't do enough, you know what I mean? When he was younger, you know? There was times when I could have did more, you know what I mean? You know, when my sister passed, I kind of checked out on all my kids, you know? For years, I checked out on everybody, you know? And ultimately, you know, it was those pivotal years in his life when I didn't have my stuff together financially, didn't have my stuff together mentally, didn't have my stuff together spiritually. And in spite of how many times I apologize or how many times I say sorry, you know, life's gonna have to teach him, you know what I mean? Life's gonna have to deal with him, and I just pray that God will arrest him, you know, spiritually, and really clean his mind, his heart, you know, bring true forgiveness to him, you know what I mean? Let him really walk into the aisles or walk into the steps of what every man or, you know, most men like me go through or whatever, you know, just to, Lord, just have your way with him, God. That's my prayer. Have your way with him, God. If he get out and never forgive me, he get out and never want a relationship with me, I'm okay with that, you know? Not really like I'm okay because, yeah, it hurts, but at the end of the day, it's like I made my bed, so I'm willing to lay in the bed that I made, especially when it comes to being there for my child. You know, this ain't no easy situation to go through. Nothing in my life has been easy. You know, I've been through a lot of hardship in life, and I always thought, well, you know, I didn't, and that's the thing. Like, if I can say anything to my son, I would tell him that just at that age, I didn't know how to be a father. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to be responsible. And even when I finally learned it, it was so, I was playing catch up, you know, and I already had established a new family. And at the end of the day, it's like, I can't take none of that stuff back. I can't take back the years of me being in prison, and I can't take back the years of me being an addict, and I can't take back, you know, all the years of, you know, the arguments and the you know, bad custody exchanges, and I just can't take none of that stuff back, man. I can't, bro. And I've tried, and I really tried, man, to love on him and be there for him, you know. But like I say, over the years, I learned that my love for him only equates to money. So he loves me when I'm cash apping the money, sending the money, you know. But other than that, man, you know, that's pretty much our relationship has been over the last few years. And, you know, it hurts, man. It hurts. But I've got to a place spiritually, man, where I understand. And I got to a place mentally where I'm not holding myself hostage to the hurt and the pain no more. Right now, there's nothing that I can do. And it's not his fault. It's not, well, it is his fault for him, his situation, You know, he has to take accountability on his own choices and decisions. But my situation of coming short is not his fault. You know what I mean? I missed his graduation because I was 1,000 miles away. I didn't have the funds, and my license has been suspended due to child support. So I wasn't able to fly and rent a car and any of these things, which ultimately hindered me from going to see him on his graduation. And man, I regret that. You know, I really do. I regret it. And so I don't know what to say no more. I don't know what to do. And I know his parents, man, my mom, you know, she had failed me multiple times, but in life I got to a place, man, when I just, you know, after I was like 24, 25, to where I just stopped blaming them for my shortcomings, you know what I mean? But from 18 to about 24, it was always my mom's fault, my dad's fault, you know? They didn't raise me, and they didn't train me, or they didn't teach me this. And I had a valid reason, you know, had a valid excuse, right? Because I was raised in the system, and my mom wasn't always in my life as she should, and my dad wasn't always in my life as they should. And I had a valid reason, you know, in the eyes of the world, in the eyes of the natural, you know, I had a reason to be upset, right? But then the Lord told me, and he allowed me to have a heart and allowed me to feel some of the pain that they went through for why they wasn't what they were supposed to be to me. And when I had that revelation changed me to where today God has given me grace and mercy. He had placed it in my heart towards my father and towards my mother, to where now I'm not so bitter or angry towards my mom or my dad, you know. I love my mom dearly, and I see her strides and her efforts to be a wonderful grandmother to my kids. And I love my dad dearly, you know. And I see his efforts, you know, to be a grandfather to my kids. And do they fall short? Yeah, they do. You know what I mean? Do they always show up for my kids? No, they didn't, you know. My daughter graduated high school. Nobody showed up. My wife graduated college. Nobody showed up. Not out of my parents, you know. And my son graduated high school. And I wasn't there. None of his grandparents was there, but on his mom's side. And my wife, we was talking about this yesterday, because we was like, well, nowadays you don't have that support, that village to help you with your kids. Most parents are just doing what they gotta do by themselves. They don't have no help. They don't have nobody to say, hey, I'm gonna come get the kids and we're gonna go here. You know, you don't really have that. Most times, you know, me and my house, we don't have that like that. Every now and again, my mom, she'll come and she'll let the kids stay. But other than that, man, yeah, we don't have that, you know, and it's okay, you know. I pray, and I told my wife one time, I said, well, you know, the reason why God might not allow us to have that is because he knows that that our children have us, you know, and a lot of times, you know, we are expecting a whole family as if our people didn't just experience what they experienced in the 90s and the early 2000s and the 80s. You know, many families were destroyed from the crack epidemic. Many families were destroyed from the prison pipeline system, the red line district. Many families was destroyed. And so when you grow up and you like, man, yeah, uncle was here, my auntie was down the street, and we had a close family. And then you see now that it's not the same. is because families are still trying to rebuild themselves based off of the years that was taken away. Many fathers went to prison for 10 to 15, 20 years, 30 years. Those are years and trauma, you know what I mean? This stuff that has to be dealt with before you can expect to see wholeness again, you know what I mean? Having kids out of wedlock, all these things have created, undercurrents in your community that you wouldn't even know about. So you wondering why, for most of us men, why I can't find a solution. I said sorry. I apologize. I'm paying child support. I'm doing everything, but it's still a disconnect. There's still a wedge between me and my child. All these different things, and a lot of it is because sin. Let's just say it for what it is. These are the consequences of having kids outside of wedlock. These are the consequences of putting the cart before the horse. And all said and done, you just gotta live and let go and let God. And I'm releasing my son over to the Lord. I'm releasing him, his mom, everybody to the Holy Spirit. Lord, you have your way. That's your child. Before he came through me, he came from you. That's your child. He don't belong to me. He belongs to you, God. And if he never forgives me, and if he never loves me, and if he never accepts me, God, I give him to you. You can get so caught up in paying bills and living check to check and just trying to make sure you got gas. They don't understand. These kids don't understand that. Why we can't go here, why we can't do this, why you ain't got money for that, why you ain't got money for this. They don't understand. And a lot of times, we shouldn't even expect them to understand, because I was raised where my foster parents, my mom and my dad, they never put the problems of the household on me. Whatever we were stressing about or dealing with, we didn't know as kids. You know what I mean? We was outside playing football, eating mangoes and watermelons, and we weren't thinking about, how you had to pay the bills and stuff like that. But when I wanted to be grown, I took those responsibilities and I placed them on myself. And ultimately, they led me to some places that I couldn't get out of. Ultimately, I ended up going to prison. And it's because I wanted to be grown. I wanted to put the cart before the horse. So I'm not even upset no more, Like, it hurts. But I'm at that point in my life now where I just want to reason with them, I told them I'll be present. I'll be present. Whatever you need from me, just call me. But I'm not going to sit around and accept disrespect from him. I'm not going to sit around and try to let his mom manipulate me or him. I'm not going to sit around for none of that. They don't want my help with the lawyer, so I'm going to step back on that. And one thing I know is you could teach these kids all you want, but life is a better teacher than us. And I know that because when them doors slammed on me and I didn't have my mom and I didn't have, the people I was putting before my mom, man, let me tell you something. God had to deal with me. And in them 6.5 years I was incarcerated, and God transformed my mind. He transformed my heart. And I know God, the same God that did it for me, can do it for my son. I know he can. And I know he thinks that I'm being negative because any frustrated father that ain't had custody of his kid would initially be upset with the mother. You know what I mean? Because you had him. It's in your hands. It was in your car he was driving. It was you giving him permission to do what he did. So, of course, I have a valid reason to be upset with her. But me speaking about those things at this time don't mean nothing. And it's not helping his mental, and it's not helping him. So, as a father, the best thing I can do is just step back and step away and love from a distance. You know, make sure he good, but love from a distance. So what I'm doing now is learning to love from a distance. I'm gonna release my son to God, and I'm gonna learn not to dwell on the things that's out of my control. It was out of my control when he got in this trouble. It's out of my control now that he's in trouble. It was out of my control when he was being raised and groomed to be who he is. It was out of my control. And as much as it hurts and as much as I don't like it, I gotta be honest, it's out of my control. So I'm learning to love my son for who he is and not for what I want him to be. And he might never be like Jeremiah. You know, God blessed me with another son, and I haven't missed a day of his life since he was born. And, well, a few days I missed, but ultimately I've been in his life all of his life. And so our relationship is stronger. Our relationship is different. He loves me unconditionally, and the rest of my girls the same. And, you know, thank God he gave me an opportunity to get it right, you know. He gave me an opportunity to get it right with my marriage and the kids I made in my marriage. But, you know, unfortunately, with my son, I might not never get an opportunity to make it right with him or his kids, you know. And as much as I wanna, I cried already. I've shed many tears, and as much as it hurts, I understand that this is a part of the sin and the decisions I choose to make. So, with that being said, I love you guys. May y'all stay blessed. Continue to keep me in prayer. And I did my walk, did my steps. So Pastor is working on building a better body and working on my temple. But yeah, with that being said, man, y'all be blessed, man. Trust the Lord with all your heart. Lean out on your own understanding, but in all your ways, acknowledge the Lord and let him direct your path because he knows best. Amen. And I pray that this encourages somebody. I know these videos that I'm posting about my son's situation, I know it's helping some people. I've had calls, text messages. I know I'm not alone. I thank you guys for all your prayers and all your support. But let's continue to keep praying for him, and also continue to keep praying for me and the wife and the family. Love you guys. Y'all have a blessed one.